Thank you, Dr. Shurtleff, for inviting me to present today. It's really quite an honor to be able to share some of the work that we've been doing with you. Unfortunately, I can't share all of it because we've really done a tremendous amount of work in this area during the time that we've been sort of sequestered to our labs. So COVID has not been a terrible thing for us. We've been very productive, and a lot of that is thanks to the support that we receive from NIH. And so I'd like to just tell you a little bit about our journey with this plant, Mitragyna speciosa, properly known as Kratom, and we will certainly get through many of the alkaloids and many of the potential that's there, but I'm only scratching the surface today just due to time restraints. And unfortunately, we don't have any human data to share with you just yet, but there was recently a pharmacokinetics paper published from Mary Payne's group, funded out of this institute, and I'm not digested that completely, so I'm not going to share that data with you today, but I am aware of and participating in a few other trials that are going on in Canada, as well as one funded by the FDA that'll be started sometime this year. And so we'll hopefully come back next year or in a couple years and tell you what we've learned in terms of human safety and pharmacokinetics, as well as some potential in the human setting from science. First, we're going to talk more anecdotally, and I'd like to share with you a little bit about this tree and its origin. So Mitragyna speciosa comes from the Rubiaceae family, which actually is the same family that the coffee plant is in, and we've heard this comparison many times. And the most common form of consumption of Mitragyna speciosa is a brewed tea. And I'll show you a little bit of that in a few minutes. The tree is natively found in Southeast Asia, particularly in Thailand and Malaysia. And in that huge map, you can see a small red circle in the center. And it's really in peninsular Malaysia and the border of Thailand where this tree is believed to have originated from. It has since spread throughout most of Southeast Asia, into Indonesia, which is where most of the material coming into the United States is grown to this day. It is referred to as Kratom or Kratom or Kratom. In Thailand, it's actually Kratom. And in Malaysia, it's Biak Biak or Kitom. So that's that sort of Kratom, Kitom sort of a vibe to it, and we all have heard many pronunciations. That's one of the most frequent questions I'm asked is what's the right pronunciation. I think it's more like tomatoes and tomatoes, and so you know, as long as we all know we're talking about the same thing, that's the most important. There have been reported over 40 alkaloids isolated to date. We've just isolated a couple new ones that we're getting ready to publish that haven't been reported before. So I think the list keeps growing, not too different from what we see in the cannabis space, where we keep finding more and more cannabinoids. The name, the genus name Mitragyna comes from the shape of the leaf. And as if you turn this negative 90-degree clockwise, the leaf that's pictured here, it takes on the shape of a bishop's hat or a mitre hat, and that's where the species, or the genus, I'm sorry, got its name from Mitragyna. So I want to show you what the sort of traditional view of this is and how it looks in its native setting. And so Kratom has been used by field workers in Southeast Asia to relieve pain, also as a stimulant to improve their work capacity in the hot tropical climate. And also when they would run out of opium, those that used opium, they would use this in a little bit higher doses to help reduce opioid withdrawal. And that's really where we got interested in this project, not just the pain aspect, but can we see an alternative in helping with opioid use disorders or even opioid withdrawal syndrome. Recently, there's been some reports that polydrug users, particularly those that are using opiates and methamphetamine, are intaking Kratom to really reduce their use. Of course, this is interesting because we have nothing to really combat methamphetamine or cocaine use disorders either. So this is another area that we've kind of jumped into a little bit. The predominant active ingredient or active agent, at least the thought to be active agent in Kratom, is Mitragyna, and it accounts for anywhere from 20 to 66% of the total alkaloid content in the majority of products that we've seen. I'll talk a little bit more about the trees themselves in a moment. This is the structure of Mitragyna. It's a coinanthine-based indole alkaloid. And most all of the structures in this plant, all the alkaloids, have very many things in common. One is this base ring structure. The second thing is this bottom portion of the molecule, if you can see my pointer, what we call the beta methoxyacrylate moiety. We'll see those consistently in almost every indole-based alkaloid and oxindole-based alkaloid. On the bottom left-hand screen is the tree growing in the native environment in the flowering state. We're only focusing on the leaves today. The flowers is another story and maybe another time. Those leaves are harvested fresh each day from the trees. They're cut with scissors and put into a pot of boiling water where they're boiled for anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, usually around 2 to 3 hours. Maximum. Then it is ladled out. That decoction is ladled out and put into traveling packages, which you can see down at the bottom right corner there, either in plastic baggies, which is a common drink container in Malaysia, or it's put into plastic bottles. And then I wanted to show you what a street side stand looks like, and that's pretty much what you see there in the middle of the screen next to the Mitragyna structure. These are not very heavily advertised. It's illegal to sell this in the public in Malaysia, but it's not hard to find, and the fines for selling such are really not prohibitive to people doing it because they can make more money selling. Most every single house in Malaysia in this area has a tree in their own property. It's legal to use if you grow your own and consume your own in your household. But almost every single house that we encountered had at least one tree in the yard.